Okay, I'm gonna start my stream a little bit interesting today. I'm gonna play some poker for fun. um, One thing I want to discuss for fun is that the reason why I play poker is kind of similar to why Buffett plays bridge. I've never actually played bridge before. I should try it, but um, whenever I play poker, it's like I'm using another analytical part of my brain, but I don't really get tired from it. So people's like, "Oh, you've been like researching stocks all day, like." How come on your days off, why do you play poker? And for me, it's just like I can de-stress from poker for some reason. I don't see it as like, oh, I've already been stressing out my brain the entire day. But like doing further analysis in poker is also like strenuous. I actually don't see it that way, which is kind of interesting. Curious if you guys can type in chat, what are hobbies that you have that are potentially also analytical? It doesn't have to be analytical, that you guys use to de-stress. So this is on a website called GTO Wizard. Um, and essentially they have like this chess.com thing going on with poker. And so currently I'm number 11th on the leaderboard. And you guys can't see over here, but I am number, yeah, that's how good my elo ranking is right now. But oops. So in check though, my queen kicker is likely good. I should be charging some draws here. Also, the primary line I would probably take here is a check back on the river, even if he calls. So kicker so if he doesn't have six, there's a 6 and 10, but my queen has showdown value, so we just go with the queen. So if Vipin doesn't bet flop, his range is rather weak spot. So this is kind of like a hyper turbo where my stack is 500 and the blinds are 20, so you only have 25 big blinds, so you're playing rather short in these type of configurations. So you do a lot of limping. Interesting, my opponent's representing either Jack X or some strong flush draw, but I only have 8 high, so I can't really continue. At 6-5, I would continue in the spot. So ace on off is definitely a re-raisable hand. If he jams, we call. Could raise, we could limp, I think, with this. Here, this is a pretty draw heavy board texture for both of our ranges. But I'm not happy to go 3 streets of betting, so checking back is better. Yeah, so he represents way more 8x combos than I do. So at this current node, I would just be calling. Because I do have a nut straight draw. Really hard to call with queen high. This hand we can raise, we can just check back. .5x on this board texture is interesting. You can apply a lot of pressure of a king, queen, queen 10 type hand. Second pair, we get 10 kicker. We don't actually mind betting because our second pair can easily, there can be a jack, 9, 8, and like a lot of cards can come on the turn that can first over. So we do want to be betting out for a second pair in this, excuse me, in this spot. Top here. He has check back a good diamond here. I'm gonna say he's very unbalanced in the spot and just stab it anyways. If I check back here, then it's quite dicey. More of an exploitative play at this node. My hand doesn't have that much value. I'm gonna go for like a stab bet here. Hello, Khaled. Welcome. Sorry, this is boring. I'm gonna play one match and then I get straight into research. He has a lot of Queen X, Jack X, so I don't understand why you would check back. So I'm gonna just stab this again. Hopefully he folds. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, there is a stream delay, by the way. There is a stream delay, but I probably see it like right away. I think. I should see it right away. It's hard for me to continue on this 10 high. I can definitely do mid-raise here with my hand. Play multiple streets extraordinarily. Here, we do exercise some blood control, so we want to be able to apply pressure. Or king jack, queen jack, ace 10 type hands. Check back because he has 10 big blinds now. We're checking back a lot of our queen x's to realize equity. Now that he checks back, I don't think he checks back his king x in this spot. So we're gonna. This says there's 2 flush draws in this board texture. We do want to be betting a little bit on the large side. Deny equity. One has 6 big blinds. I think calling here can be dicey, but he might let it through. Let's see if he lets it through. Let it through. Oh, this is great board texture for us. We do want to be betting. If we get a re-raise, we obviously call. This is one of the spots. Whether do we jam or do we? He has 9x. That might not fold actually. Don't mind checking back. If he bets his 9x. If he has a 9x, he probably either checks. He doesn't bet 150 if it's 9. Base high. You can have like 10 jack. You can have. It's such a greedy sizing though. Queen X. Didn't fold to a flop bet. I don't think that's a good idea. I could have bet pot on flop. That was definitely an option here. This is good for his range that limps. I'm not going to be stabbing here. Way too coordinated. Today, I don't think I'm using the Japanese company handbook. I'm going to be using just like a stock screener. Yeah. Taking a shortcut, taking a break from the Japanese company handbook. Yeah. So we're in essentially a 10 big blind shove range right now. So we do shove rather wide in these spots. He's letting me check back quite a bit, which is nice. Okay, this is definitely a check raise spot here. 2 240, and we do want to make it polar. Might even make it 300, probably better. Okay, we just jammed in. Damn it. Bottom pair. Bottom pair check call is really bad. Horrible, but okay. Whatever. Okay. We're gonna leave. Our elo took a hit, but that's okay. Number 10. Yeah. Okay, let's get cracking. All right. So yesterday we had a screener, and our stream was only for 2 hours yesterday. And let's see. Hey guys, do you find the chat box distracting, by the way? Do you like I might There's another way I can configure the chat box is have it essentially have the messages disappear over time. Yeah, that's what it's gonna do. But only when someone messages will a chat come up. So I'm gonna do a texting. Okay, so testing. Okay, there we go. It pops up. Nice. So we'll do that because now you guys can see more at the screen. I think that's probably better. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So yesterday we set up a stock screen, and the criteria was as such. So Japan market cap of over 3 billion yen, EV/EBIT anything less than 10 times, no debt. And then EBIT margins over 20%, and we had 36 matches. So we were just looking through the companies. Yesterday we got down to Mart, which is an interesting company that caters towards like the food and beverage industry and restaurants. And then we had to cut our stream short because they essentially, like, I don't know if you guys can tell through stream, but essentially my left elbow region got swollen. Just like I was just leaning on it, and then I looked down, and it was like super puffed up, right? And then my right arm, I'm right hand dominant, right? So my right hand was actually less swollen than my left hand. And then I realized, okay, maybe something's up. So then yeah, so today I went to see the family doctor, and essentially I got some type of infection. It might have been a bug bite, might have been something, I don't know. But yesterday I didn't really do much. I just went to the gym, so maybe I rubbed my arm against something and then got infected. Really not sure. But yeah, but I'm all good. I'm good. So let's see, what company should we look at? Akio's on here. This is a company that I have looked at before. But I'm not too bullish on the pachinko industry. Nihon Falcom Corporation. Let's have a look at that. Nihon Falcom Corporation engages in the development and production of the title game software in Japan and internationally. It also produces music and video titles, plans game software, and sells game software and related products, and provides various licenses. Company was founded in 1981. Oh, you like that company? All right. They do. Oh, nice. Okay, then I'll definitely check them out. Definitely check them out. I'm gonna quickly tidy up my browser. Give me a Yeah, for just FYI for you guys to know, I don't really game that much. The only game that I do play is essentially poker, online poker. Doesn't really require much high graphics, but yeah. Take a look at the price, 3-year price. Traded pretty flat though. It hasn't really moved much. High is 1400, dropped down to recently 1000. Okay, so resurfaced a bit, but trade's pretty range bound. Like if this looks like, you know, trading activity to me. So this is like, it's a 1300, then they sell it. Gets to 1200 something and they sell it. I mean, if you're gonna, you know, use any level of technical analysis, you probably buy around here then, just to get the upside. Okay, let's take a look at the financials. Financials were pretty good, but they've been on a decline. EBIT margins are really good. Our return on equity has been going down. Let's see why though. Why is equity dropped down? They have a lot of cash, so they've been hoarding cash. So this is like similar to what we see in Akatsuki. Akatsuki is like, well, they were negative enterprise value even, but they haven't gone. Actually, let's take a look at recent. Maybe recently they have even more. Okay, so the share price went up a little bit, and then so really close to, yeah, that's to be extremely cheap. Oh wow, EV/EBIT of 1. Wow. Price earning those 12 times. And historically, it's like historical. They have a lot of cash. Khaled said they have a lot of cash on their balance sheet. Stock exchange reforms should encourage them to return that cash, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, Japanese companies like to also hold cash so that if something happens, no, they can, you know, they can slowly reinvest back in the company to kind of save it, type of thing. EE. Okay. So it's trading at a, you know, pretty low multiple right now. Yeah, pretty low multiple. That's what it seems. Yeah, so then the question is, how do they use that cash, right? So that's going to be a question we're going to have to be answering. I'm going to type this down right now. So how to use excess cash. What projects do they have on the horizon where cash can be deployed? Okay. They have a very dedicated fan base to their games. That's good to know. Thanks, Khaled. The storylines have been ongoing for decades. Oh, okay. So, you know, if it's gone on for decades, and this has some like Disney effect, whereas like you have some IP to some titles, and your company is known for those titles, and fans will come back for those titles, and that's always a very good thing. So that's good to know. Let's see, go back. Let's take a look more into this company. I like cheap valuations, and I like, you know, these type of setups. Also, you know, profitability margins are like really high. They're really good margins. RIC. Okay, let's go back to the description. Let's take a look at. Okay, I already have it open, so let's take a look at IR information. Oh, YS Memoirs. So I remember when I used to play PSP. I was never really like any hardcore gamer, but I remember they probably made a title for this, right? Yeah, the PSP. I've heard of the game. I haven't actually played it myself. Sales in Japan about 2 billion yen, 400 million yen for the rest of Asia. Sorry, 100 million yen for the rest of Asia, about 4 million in North America and Europe. I enjoy looking at a company's website because, like, especially gaming companies, because the pictures are so nice, and you know. Trails in the Sky. So these are like RPG games. I personally do enjoy RPG games. It's just I haven't played many games growing up in general. So. Hey, we are at 5 viewers for the stream. Looking good. Thanks for joining us, guys. Legend of Heroes. I never played this before. Would you say that, Khaled, that this is a company that specializes in RPG games? Transition from physical media to digital downloads has helped their margins significantly. Yeah, I'm sure they have. Or PS5 games. Music. What to do in terms of music, though? Oh, so maybe probably music in relation to their games, so like soundtrack. Books. Collectibles. This is a standing desk. All JRPGs, I see. So that's probably the bread and butter. Merchandise, also have figurines for their games. Posters. Okay. Yeah, pretty standard stuff. Music's incredible. Okay. I would play it on the stream, but I don't want to get flagged for it. So I'll listen to it. Do you have a playlist you can share with everybody? Maybe a Spotify playlist or a YouTube music playlist where other people can kind of listen to. Okay, investor relations. Look. They have an English site. They have an English. Essentially, no. Yeah, they don't. Oh, we have 6 viewers now. Welcome, everybody. How's the audio quality, by the way? I just got a notification that the audio stream's current bitrate is kind of low. How's the audio sounding right now? Further enhancing margins too, I guess. Perfect. Thanks for confirming that. Okay, I'm gonna quickly download this. Where is our investor presentation? I really enjoy looking at. Okay. What's 2025? Hey, Khaled, just a quick question. Do they only provide IP for their fiscal year ended, or? Seven. Okay, give me a second, guys. I will need to download this. Okay. Thanks for the confirmation. That's a little bit annoying, but that's okay. Which could be good, which could be bad, right? It could be good in that investors it forces investors to be more like long-term minded, and that they provide like probably the bare minimum in their financial statement. And, yeah. I personally just enjoy having more information to look at. Oh, they have a semi-annual report, so that is good. command import. Take a look at that. Download that as well. Okay, while I convert everything, let's play some music. You know, let's play a banger that I recently found. Yeah. All right. Let me know if the volume is too loud on the music. Okay, let's quickly translate, calculate the integral value. $11 billion market cap. No short-term investments. Oh, this is a very simple balance sheet. Okay, assume no long-term investments then, because this is all lumped into one place. Okay, no debt that I can see. Oh, so current liabilities are their liabilities. Okay. All right. Is there dividend? They lowered it. Excuse me. Hello, Great Shaman. By any chance, do you watch Shaman King? Okay, let's take a look at their forecast real quick. Forecasting 1.2 billion operating profit. All right. If you were to pick one shaman to overlook you, you know, to protect you, who would it be? I'm gonna quickly find their fiscal year 2024 results real quick. Excuse me. What would Donald Trump's weapon be though? For that variation of Shaman King. Okay, we have the information here. I'm going to insert it real quick. Enterprise value wise it's dirt cheap, but PE wise it's kind of expensive. Net income since 2019 has been quite stagnant. So the story seems like American flag, right? Yeah, you take a pole with American flag and then you use that against what? Spears, blades, swords, samurai swords, right? Why not a gun? Isn't a gun easier? I mean, isn't that the epitome of, you know, American weapons? Okay, so what it looks like is I'm just gonna make a narrative out, right? So first we see that sales have been rather stagnant, right? Profitability has decreased a little bit, so essentially this could be as a result of increase in labor costs, which is most likely the reasoning. And then so they have a, you know, more expensive cost structure, but they're still pretty profitable, right? Their margins are really high. But what it seems like to me is like they dominate the space that they're in with their previous titles, but they're not able to grow beyond that is kind of the issue that we're seeing. But then a major upside for this company is, are they able to create titles or invest in new titles where they can capture even more sales or more income, if that's possible. Is that possible? Now let's see if that's possible by looking at their best presentation. Now, Khaled, I don't know if you've played any of the YS games, or even Great Shaman, if you play any of the YS games, these RPGs. What is it that makes fans come back to the series, right? Like, why don't they just play Final Fantasy, right? Or those other games? Or is it that they wrote the story very well and that fans will come back for that story and nostalgia? 35th anniversary. Wow. It seems like they make pretty damn good music then. I will put it on my list of to-dos later to listen to some of their music. Story. Interesting. Legend of Heroes. Well, I guess this is another series for them. Now forgive my non-gamer like knowledge. So I do notice that they issue titles for PS4 and PS5, right? So, and I also know like a friend who has a PS4 and didn't get the PS5 because titles are being released for the PS4 still. So is it that the gameplay is just better on PS5, or is basically the gameplay is the same on both consoles? Or if they cater to the PS4 console, the gameplay, like the specs aren't as great. So potentially it's more high def in PS5 maybe. Or you can play at a higher frame rate, I don't know. Switch. And Khaled, if you played any of their games, which one are their up and coming games? Like this, even this title I've seen, like YS I've seen, or VS or whatever that is, I've seen since like the early 2000s when I had a PSP, right? Like 08 to 010, 2010. But like this I haven't seen. So are there titles here that are kind of like just new? They're not known for their graphics, right? I remember it's like, I think if I remember their gameplay correctly, it's like you get a bird's eye view and you're like kind of like Pokemon graphics, like where it's a bird's eye view and you have like these characters, like, you know, so it was more like 2D graphics. Trials of Cold Steel, The Legend of Heroes. Oh, it is YS Memoir. Yeah, so it's something like this new, Tokyo Xanadu. So Legend of Heroes and YS seems like they're crowd favorites, main titles. Yeah. English and French versions. In-store promotions in Akihabara on elevators. Interesting. And live. Okay, so tapping into live music, which is cool. Video game show. Yeah, their earnings have been like, their sales have been very flat. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great either. It means customers are coming back to play their games, but there seems to not be like a growing fan base is what concerns me. Or it could be that the new fan base directly offsets the fan base that's like heading out, so it matches the churn maybe. Or they could be doing a better job in marketing potentially. So Khaled said they're not really known for their graphics either way. The Japanese market, I think they have down pat. They always have sales from that market. They need to grow abroad, do better marketing, perhaps some sales on PSN, PlayStation Network. So they also release multiple port titles. Remote multi-platform development worldwide, include overseas regions for home game consoles, PCs, and smartphones. What is their... How have they done on the mobile phone? Or it seems like a lot of the photos that they showed us before in the earlier slides were mainly for console gaming. So like PlayStation, for example. What do you think of their... Do you think they're underdeveloped in the PC space and smartphone space? Yeah, and then what about merch, right? Do you think that fans of their games will buy their anime figurines, for example? Are there any waifus in the game, right? Where people would buy the would buy the anime figurines for? Matching churn. Okay. I think it's better if you have a new audience that comes in that offsets the audience that goes out. Because if you have new coming in, you can always create a hit title that really hits on their childhood nostalgia, and then all the people that previously churned that are older will come back, right? And then you have like a spike in sales because of that, because you have a portion of new and you have a portion old. What I don't want to see happening is actually no new is coming in, and you're just dependent on the childhood nostalgia portion of the equation, which is just all previous users. Creating new titles. Kiseki YS series. We're increasing the number of titles released and creating new IP content in games, which will result in advanced development costs, and we aim to release multiple new titles in the fiscal year. A notable feature of the business performance trend is that sales are concentrated in the months when new products are launched, so the weight of sales is expected to be high in the second half of the year, right? Because people probably want to play in the summer, especially in the fourth quarter. Fair enough. So they did a special dividend last year. Oh no, but they did 10 yen for... They're gonna have a commemorative dividend for 5 years and then just not have it? I feel like they should be increasing their dividend. Okay, so I have a question in relation to, because we all know like games are typically the brainchild of, you know, some type of, you want to call it game director, game producer, whatever, right? So do we know who started the company in like making this title, right? And whether Like, what's their stake in the company? Are they an employee? Are they the CEO? What is it? Because, you know, if the brainchild of these titles, right, YS or Legend of Heroes, is based off the same person, and this person decides to retire, then that can be a huge risk for the company, right? Do you have any information on that? Of course, I can look into this as well. Okay, I'm gonna pause the Spotify real quick. Yeah, as a content creator, we strive to create highly original game content and services and to convey their appeal to customers around the world through various fields and platforms. Toshihiro Kondo, president. Before I do anything, I'm gonna quickly search this guy up. Toshihiro Kondo. Or 1975. So this guy's 50. Oh, he's young. He's young. No, he has lots of runway. The question is, why doesn't this company get bought out? Like, why doesn't Sega Sammy buy this company out? Right? Like, I feel this would be really good for Sega Sammy to buy out, right? A company like this. Oh, so he applied for a job at Falcom. Scenario writer. Okay, so it looks like Legend Heroes was created by someone else, but then that person is, for health reasons, is no longer here. But, well, not with the company. Oh, he is actually no longer here. I kind of jumped the gun there a little bit. Recently passed away too. 54 plus 78 at the age of 78. Okay, so this guy's got to start, creating like a Apple retail store, and then that turned into hiring programmers to create games, and that led to the company publishing Galactic Wars, and then they became a full-time game developer. Yeah, and then they created YS. The Legend of Heroes. Okay, so this guy is the brainchild, but then he has a successor. But no, looks like the company's in good hands right now. Yeah, wow, debugger and scenario arrangement, scenario writer, director, screenwriter, and producer slash scenario writer. Okay, so this guy's definitely passionate about what he does, for sure. For sure, passionate. This, and is this a recent game? Okay, looks nice. So we are in good hands in that regard. Okay, guys. My mouth is getting a little dry. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back just to get some water. And yeah, we'll take a 5 to 10 minute intermission. Oh wow, our stream got to as high as 8 viewers at one time. That's really good. Thanks a lot, guys. That's the most amount of concurrent viewers I've had in a single time. Is 8. Let's see if we can hit 10 today. That would be nice. That'd be nice. We're currently back at 4, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. Okay, I'll be right back, guys. Alright, so I am back. Okay, so business performance. As a content creator, we strive to create highly original game content and services and to convey their appeal to customers around the world through various fields and platforms. In the product division, during this interim accounting period, we released the latest installment of the Kiseki series, one of our representative works with cumulative total of over 8 million copies sold. The Legend of Heroes, Kai no Kiseki Farewell, Ozemaria, PlayStation 5 and 4. In addition, we are developing the production and sales of merchandise using our IP. In addition, we released a music album, The Legend of Heroes, in January 2025. And then another album. In addition, we will release YS Memoir for Nintendo Switch in May 2025, so that's already been released. In addition, we plan to release YSX Proud Nordics. Okay, guys, so is there a website where I can track the sales of some of these game titles? Are you guys aware? I'm gonna put that in the chat. Yeah, is there like an IMDb for games? We're also working hard to develop the newest title in the Trails series, Sora no Kiseki the First, which has sold more than 8 million copies for release in September 2025. But I'm going to try to do that myself here. So, yeah, The Sea of Trees. This is on Nintendo Switch. Let's take a look. If I can find something myself. Trees of Salsada. Nintendo Switch. But since I haven't played any of these games, I'm just gonna quickly look at a video. Let's see if I can add audio to this. I think that would make things more interesting. Here.
iPhone.
Yeah, so what I can tell is like the graphics aren't really that impressive. There's some like mobile RPG games that have better graphics than this. So this must have to tap into like, yeah, as I said, like the storyline or something like that. That's what my impression of it is. I could be wrong. But given this company is so cheap, I might actually just put in a buy order just real quick. Market is closed. Too late. Maybe tomorrow. We'll put more effort into analyze this company first. In the licensing division, we sold the traditional Chinese and Korean versions of YS and the English version of Legend of Heroes for PlayStation 5. Both English versions of that. Licensing division. I guess some other company takes on the risk of it, I guess. Initially, we continue to sell downloadable English versions of older PC games, as well as English versions of. Okay. In addition, the English and French versions of will be released on PlayStation 5, 4, Nintendo Switch, PC, and Steam. As a result, our business performance for this interim accounting are as follows. Yeah, I'm not really seeing any real initiatives besides like selling some merch. They need to create more titles for them to grow substantially, I believe. Or else it's going to be quite difficult for them to, expand beyond their current level. Definitely have to reinvest into some more titles. Oh, a lot of revenues from North America and Europe. Oh, how come sales are so? I guess this might have to do with like the release date of certain titles. On an annual basis, probably looks better. Okay. Let's see what the commentary is over here. Well, let's take a quick look to see if that's truly the case. Whether there's quarterly fluctuations due to simply just release dates. I do want to look at their sales. Wow, 2014, 2.5. It'd also be nice to have like the number of copies that they've sold since then. R&D expenses have been increasing. The company doesn't have to spend much on capex. Yeah, but then they're holding way too much cash for not using it, so I'd much rather them use it somehow. Either buyback shares is not as good of a move because now currently they're trading over 1x book. Below 1x book, a lot better, but let's see if they have a medium-term plan somewhere. Doesn't seem like they have one. Okay, I'm gonna quickly look at their annual report, and then that should be enough information for now. Okay, you too. See you. Okay, finally the landlord is outside of my unit. Finally. Okay, so then... Okay, so let's take a look at the history of the company. Founded in 2001, established division of former Nihon Falcom, with the aim of separating the planning, production, development, and sales of game software. December 2001, the company took over the planning, production, and sales, mail-order business of Falcom Brands products, as well as the planning and production designs. And then it was listed in 2003. Okay, the main company's main business is the planning, production, development, and sale of game software, and its business activities are conducted through two divisions: product division and licensing. So the positioning of each division is as follows: planning, so the product department, planning, production, development, and sales of game software, mainly role-playing games, production and sales of game software licensed from overseas game software companies, planning, production, and sales of music CDs. Licensing division, licensing for the development and sale of various home game console software in Japan, licensing for localizing our game software overseas and selling it only locally. licensing for the provision of mobile services using our game software and game music, licensing for the sale of downloads of our game software over the internet. License agreements include lump sums and running royalties, and royalty income is recorded according to the contract type. $66 employees, very lean then. Yeah. Average is 40. Average length of service 15. Okay, pretty long. Okay, target management indicators. The company places importance on profitability and has always achieved high levels of profit margins through high management efficiency. However, the company aims to achieve sustainable growth while maintaining its operating margins by promoting its own development of Nintendo Switch games, multi-use and multi-platform development, expanding the number of titles released, and creating new IP content and games. Good. Business environment. In the game-related industry, the global game market is showing signs of recovery, while the domestic game market continues to remain strong, especially for home game consoles. The domestic PC game market has also continued to expand, and indie games made by small-scale developers are also attracting attention. Although the competition is fierce, inquiries of high-quality content are generally strong. Medium to long-term management strategy. Based on the know-how and brand that we have cultivated since our founding, we'll promote the creation of management foundation with a good balance between offense and defense. The key to our offense is to place emphasis on challenging new fields, mainly home game consoles, smartphone apps, and online games, and on innovating development technology. The key to our defense is to tackle themes such as further improvement of speed and quality, the human resource development. We aim to steadily solidify our footing and realize a corporate structure that can continue to grow. My worry is that they're not putting enough effort into creating new titles, right? Like, 'cause if you have 66 employees, right, that's kind of a lean operation, right? And if you want to create a new title and you have another team for that, then you have to invest into human resources for that. But if you don't invest in human resources for that, then how are you going to create a new IP, right? Yeah, they're seeing a lot of that, but then it's like nothing has changed, right? Like if your sales don't grow, like yes, you maintain high profitability, but nothing is growing. So you have a solid company, which is supposedly doing well, but they're not able to innovate. They need to create something new, right? Or gain, you know, or gain a larger audience. Longer development periods. In our case, a development period for game software production ranges from 6 months to as long as 2 or 3 years. Because of the lengthy development period, there's a possibility that the development period at the planning stage may differ from the actual development period. In addition, if the functions required for products become more advanced due to recent technological innovations, the development period may become longer, which may affect our business performance. We strive to prevent development periods from becoming too long by implementing thorough schedule management. Trends and product sales. With regard to the trend in sales of our products, as most of our sales are concentrated at the time of launch of game software, product division sales tend to be larger in the quarter in which a new product is launched. That's why we saw this huge discrepancy in sales on a quarterly basis. Our business performance tends to be highly dependent on certain game software such as Y series and Trail series. Series titles may have many loyal fans and contribute to stabilizing business performance, but there are changes in the market environment. Users may abandon the games or game content may become obsolete, which could have an impact on our business performance, including licensing. The company will continue releasing existing titles while also creating new IP, but that hasn't happened really, right? So that's my issue with this. In the game-related industry during the fiscal year, the global game market is showing signs of recovery, while the domestic game market continues to remain strong, centered on home game consoles. The domestic PC game market also continues to expand, and indie games produced and developed on a small scale are also attracting attention, making the competition fierce. But the number of inquiries for high-quality content is generally strong. Our company has always been committed to creating game content software that will please our users. Music albums released. Yeah, okay. Yeah. My analysis company is, yes, it's very cheap at 1 billion enterprise value. The thing is they're just hoarding cash, and I don't see them productively, like I don't see a way for them to productively use it unless they can create like other titles, you know. But right now it doesn't seem to be that case. We also signed licensing agreements for overseas translations of our titles. Major sales destinations and the percentage of sales of total sales. NIS America, Konami Digital, Sony Interactive, Clouded, Leaper Entertainment. Okay, future look. The next fiscal year, we will continue to develop the Legends of Heroes. In January 2025, we plan to release a music album. In addition to currently in-house titles for Nintendo Switch game software, we also plan to release multiple ported titles. In overseas regions, we plan to sequentially release translated titles for multiple platforms, such as traditional Chinese and Korean, the English version, PS5, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. And the latest installment of Kiseki series, one of our representative works with the cumulative total sales of 8 million copies sold. Sora no Kiseki, the first, will be released. We'll continue to develop our game content for various platforms worldwide, including game console and smartphone apps, proactively utilizing our IP, and continue to provide compelling game content while also taking on new challenges in the production of new titles. But I haven't seen any. What are the new titles? Like multiple new projects include Tokyo Xanadu to increase the number of titles we are releasing and to create new IP content. Okay, that's good. As such, we expect to incur development fees upfront. That's totally fine. We aim to release multiple new titles in the fiscal year ending September 2026. This is like a normalized performance here. R&D of technological innovations cutting into creative unit, which is involved in researching into cutting-edge digital graphics and 3D technologies for platforms such as Sony Interactive. The creative unit also conducts R&D into tools to support the production of game software as well as research aimed at streamlining development and improving quality. By sharing the results of the R&D across company is able to streamline production and consolidate its technological base. Product development projects are conducted in collaboration with the creative unit and the design unit. Tokyo Xanadu will be big. It really sells a lot of copies. You have a lottery ticket. Have you played it before, Khaled? Take a look at that, actually. I'm going to bring up a window. We just find a clip of Tokyo Xanadu and see if we can look at the gameplay. Because that's what makes this fun, right? Is looking at, this is how we do research.
This is Tokyo Xanadu. In a nutshell, it's kind of like if you took the action combat system from the East series and threw it into a Persona game, but on a much smaller budget. Mix that all together and you have one of the greatest hidden gem JRPGs of all time. And in this video, I'll be telling you why it's an absolute must-buy. In the game, you play as Ko Tokisaka, a second-year high school student in Japan. He lives in the fictional town of Morimiya, which is supposed to be Tokyo, hence the name Tokyo Xanadu. Early on, he's a typical high school student working part-time jobs just to get by, but then on accident, he discovers another world thanks to his classmate Hiragi. It's known as the Eclipse, and characters are transported there via portals scattered throughout the city. Hiragi seems to know much more about this world than she initially lets on, and eventually Ko and her team up. Throughout the game, you'll recruit other fellow classmates to help you battle this other world and ultimately figure out why the worlds are crossing over. The mystery of the Eclipse is a really great hook to keep you playing and wanting to know more. There always seems to be some new piece of information or new twist about the Eclipse. This always kept me wanting to know more, and while the reasons for everyone teaming up can be a little contrived at times, ultimately that doesn't matter. What really matters in the end is how well this cast of characters meshes together. Everyone's personality is so different, and when they all get the opportunity to be together, they all shine in fun ways. Thankfully, each chapter does focus on one character before they join the party, so you really get to know them and their backstory. Although I would have liked for this new re-release on Nintendo Switch to have included English voice acting, that just wasn't in the budget. However, the Japanese voice acting is pretty quality and gets the job done. Now, one thing about the story that I didn't like from the original PlayStation 4 version and still don't like in this Nintendo Switch version are the side stories between chapters. Once you complete a chapter, you're then offered up side stories that you need to do before you can move on to the next part of the game. While it could be considered an interesting way to get to know characters in different ways, ultimately it always felt like a waste of time to me. I particularly hated the sections with the White Shroud. I guess it was supposed to create this sense of mystery and you're wondering who this character is, but in the end, it doesn't really matter that much because for me, it was all about the core cast of characters. And even though most of the side stories are about that cast, the side stories just didn't seem that interesting. Overall though, I really dug the story and this cast of characters. They're super fun and charming. I have my favorites and I'm sure you will as well, but I think the real star of the show here in Tokyo Xanadu is its variety of gameplay. If you're familiar with the Persona games, then you'll feel right at home with Tokyo Xanadu. However, if you've never played a Persona game, Tokyo Xanadu does differentiate itself enough to be its own thing. While you do play as a Japanese high school student and a lot of the story takes place in the high school, there's actually not that much gameplay there. In Persona, you're spending a lot of time listening to classes and taking tests, but in Tokyo Xanadu, you don't do any of that. If you hated those sections, don't worry, none of that is here. However, you can go to the school library to increase your wisdom for extra little goodies if you want to. What Tokyo Xanadu does have that's very similar to Persona is its free time activities. In between dungeons, you have free time points that you can spend to hang out with some of your friends. Here, you'll get to know them a little bit better, and if you spend time with characters that are in your party, they'll grow stronger in combat as well. At a certain point in the game, you'll get this sort of eclipse radar radar where you can discover new portals throughout the world, essentially side dungeons that are not part of the main story, and if you complete them, then you'll get additional free time activity points and you can hang out with even more people. And scattered throughout the city are a ton of little mini games and fun side distractions. I did mention reading earlier, and that actually helps you out quite a bit. You can explore the world and find different bookstores, read the books, and then increase your knowledge. You can then get rewarded by going to your grandfather's karate dojo and getting extra items that will help you in combat. There's also a skate park where you can go skateboarding and do tricks. Honestly, I don't think there's anything that you can earn from this, but it is a fun little side distraction if you want to kill some time. There's also an arcade with a bunch of different games, including a sort of whack-a-mole game where you play as Alyssa from Trails of Cold Steel. You can also play a refined version of Blade, which is also available in Trails of Cold Steel. And finally, there's a little fishing minigame where you get to play as Reen. These are actually pretty helpful because you can earn tokens playing those games and then exchange them for items. Now, while these side distractions are fun, the real meat and potatoes, the main course meal here in Tokyo Xanadu is the action combat and the dungeon crawling. Every chapter has at least one main story dungeon, sometimes two, and before you even begin the dungeon, it tells you which types of enemies that will be there, or at least what enemies are weak to. Each main party member is assigned an element, and enemies in the dungeon are weak to that element. If you've played any of the recent Ys games, then you'll know that each character has a type of attack, and enemies are weak to particular attacks. So it's very similar here in Tokyo Xanadu. You'll have to build your team accordingly so you can be prepared for what's in the dungeon. At the beginning, obviously, you'll only have a few characters, so it won't be that much of a decision, but as the game goes on and you build out your party, you're gonna have to really pick and choose who to bring into a dungeon, because sometimes there might be 5 different enemy types, but you can only bring in 3 different characters. But the actual dungeon crawling and fighting is where I truly fell in love with this game. The dungeons are fairly small and linear. There's not really a unique gimmick to each dungeon. You're kind of just going through it, going to the end, and then fighting the boss. However, there's never a down moment while you're exploring them. There's always enemies in your way to fight, boxes to break, items to collect from treasure chests, and because enemies are weak to different characters, you're constantly swapping between them so you can be the most efficient in combat. At face value, the combat itself might seem simplistic, but there's actually a lot you need to keep track of. Every character has a basic 3-hit combo, and you can kind of do a combo in the air as well, and you also have a ranged attack. However, that ranged attack has a meter that you need to either fill back up or just wait a certain period of time. There's also a variety of super moves that also have different meters that you'll need to wait to be filled up. Next to your character health bar, you'll see these red orbs, and once those fill up, you can do a big strong attack. There's also a move where you can call in another party member and attack at the same time, and there's also a super strong.
Yeah, so given what we've seen in this video so far, is that I do enjoy the graphics of this one much better than the other YS one. But then the other YS one is for Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure if there's a version of a YS series that is like, you know, that is just has really good graphics. I don't know. Are they all similar?
People saw it already. He found it more akin to the likes of Gauntlet than, say, the
Switch. There's a version here that
high in the sky. So much fun. Dive right into with enough going on to.
okay, these are all still rather 2D. Yeah, do you know what the latest YS game is?
The Ys franchise is very old and has been active for at least 30 years now. Than each other, and even some recurring characters, almost all of them present completely independent storylines and can be played basically in any order from a story point of view. The only exception will be the first.
This is looking really good already. I would play this. Do you know if this tag teaming is like a new game mechanic that's taken from a different game? Like innovation that you see from another competitor, or is this a game mechanic that they've created themselves? I don't play much games, so this looks really cool to me, actually.
So, welcome to my review. The crazy one. An action role-playing game. All of these games have always been that way. So you can run around, you can also dash, which I really like doing. You can get really crazy with the dash as well. You can jump, and you can strike and where you need to go next. For one thing, in this game, that it does feel like
you're a regular coxswain already.
To break up that though, there's certain icons on the screen we can go into, and it'll activate ship combat. And that's a whole other element here that I love.
Enemy
I will say, it is so easy to control your ship, and it's so easy to attack with your cannonballs and your side attacks, and later on, you can upgrade your entire ship, increase the speed of it, and your arsenal.
Knock him dead out there.
And another really interesting thing, you might see a little ship just sailing out there, and you'll go up to it, and guess what you can do? You can trade. You gotta go back and do this, and go back and do this. It just feels like sometimes the game isn't altogether complete. I know that sounds like a really strange thing. I'm not knocking it. This is an 8.5 out of 10 for me, but I'm also a crazy East fanatic. But there's so much variety in gameplay here that I think everybody's gonna be thrilled with that. If you're coming off
Yeah, this one looks fun. Okay, so their newest games do have good graphics on them. But now that I've seen these other two, it looks like Tokyo Xanadu doesn't look as as cool anymore. Yeah. But I guess what this allows them to do is target like an audience, as I said, that likes Persona. I've never played Persona, but I know that it's a popular title. Whenever I go to like a GameStop, I see, you know, Persona titles being sold there. So yeah, this is oh, that's a harsh critic. And this is positive. Hello, Chris. Hello. From the Tokyo Metro? Okay, okay. I'm very jealous. I wish I could be in Japan right now. Let's see what this person likes. Tokyo Xanadu. Let's see.
Tokyo Xanadu is one of those Falcom titles that a lot of new fans probably won't know too much about. Heck, I didn't know anything about it until I was playing through my third Trails title, at which point I started to see some game clips. Needless to say, it piqued my interest, because it's a Falcom game.
Tokyo Xanadu is the latest in the long-running Xanadu series, a line of games derived from the original Dragon Slayer title released over 3 decades prior. Originally released in 2015 for the Vita, and then re-released with an enhanced version in 2016 for the PlayStation 4, the game is now available on a wide array of platforms thanks to Axis Games, who are well known for their work on the Guilty Gear series. The game was birthed out of a desire from Falcom to create a title different to what their flagship entries offered, namely creating a fictional suburb city just outside modern-day Tokyo. As such, it draws influence heavily from Tachikawa, the area where Falcom's main offices are based, and even has some real-world stores thrown in for good measure. As for me, I played the Steam version of Tokyo Xanadu EX+, which adds a plethora of new content from the original Vita title. The game was stable and ran very well on my PC, so no Eats 8 problems here, and I would like to note as well that as of the time of recording, I have not completed the game and am about 35 hours in, so these opinions may change as I progress.
That's a good point. It's like open world concept of Tokyo. I think that's really interesting. This is more like real world, and then YS is more of like a fictional world.
There'll also be references in game, but story spoilers outside of the prologue will be minimal.
So what can I say about my experience? What is there to do in the Xanadu?
As soon as the game starts, it's already got my attention from this little excerpt just before the title screen. It shows to me that the game isn't taking itself too seriously. Upon starting a new game, we find ourselves meeting our main protagonist, Ko Tokisaka, a second-year high school student of Morimiya Academy, who lives alone and works a heck of a lot of part-time jobs. As he leaves his job for the evening, he happens to notice one of his classmates, the class representative Asuka Hiragi, who seems to be wandering the night district of the city for no discernible reason. Eventually, a couple of punks follow her and Ko's moral senses start to tingle. Finding Hiragi seemingly in trouble underneath a bridge, a red light envelops the area, and Ko gives chase through the resultant opening, finding himself in a labyrinth-like parallel dimension. Upon making his way through, Asuka hits him with an MIB neuralizer and his vision goes black, paving the way for this badass opening. Eventually waking up the next morning thanks to his next door neighbour, he makes his way to school to begin his day, somewhat oblivious as to what happened the night prior. Eventually the player is given the reins, and for anyone who has played Cold Steel 1, this will look very familiar. This is a common comment that many players make with Tokyo Xanadu, in that it appears to be a fusion of Cold Steel 1 and a certain East title, and to be honest, the likeness is there. Heck, there are even assets taken straight from Cold Steel and moved over to this game. We've got these dual-wielding flame dudes, the blobs, and even a Tovol lookalike.
Okay, fair enough. There are similarities here, but it's not like they have literally taken the character from Cold Steel and just plopped them. Well, at least it's not Angelica.
This is how the game will normally be laid out. The chapter will start, normally followed by a calendar showing the date, and the first part of said chapter involves freely moving around the city at certain intervals, which gradually opens up as the game progresses. In most cases, you'll start at school just after lessons are finished for the day, and it's left with well-known titles like Noi from Nayuta no Kaseki. It also makes the game feel fresh and unique compared to other games in Falcom's collection, especially combined with the modern setting. Arcade games featuring the likes of Magical Girl Alyssa and her battles against the Demon Lord Ring can also be a nice detour. Fuck this game though. On top of this, character events noted in your Xiphone will sometimes update as you talk to NPCs, school, explore, and do an Eclipse dungeon. Throughout your journey, you'll be meeting a slew of main and supporting.
Okay. So it sounds like there's definitely potential here because it targets a different audience, so it allows them to reach out. But again, I'm very new to gaming because I didn't game much growing up, so it's hard for me to have a pulse on the situation because, like, yeah. Okay, so Khaled, a question for you: what are projects that they have made in the past that have worked, and then what are projects like for them to only have YS and the Legend of Heroes, because those are titles that were even in existence in the like early 2000s, right? So how come there hasn't been, like, you know, more popular IPs under their belt and just like mainly those two, right? Like, and it seems like, okay, they did make a PS Vita version of this game, right? And you know, it's like the IP is there, but it's not there yet, is what it sounds like, kind of. Is that a fair assessment? Yeah, they have 66 people. So that's what I'm saying, right? If they only have 66 people, they can only allocate so much manpower per title, right? Exactly. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, why are they not investing more capital? Like, they have the capital. Why not invest in more team members, right? So you can actually afford to make something like this, or else everyone's going to be spread way too thin, right? You know, like, I think they're focused too much on short-term not short-term profitability, but pleasing existing shareholders. But then they're like, what are you using with the cash? Like, the cash is, you know, is not being utilized, right? Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's the same thing for you, and the same thing for game card though, right? Like, they have to guess most Japanese companies are the same in that, you know, they kind of start small and try to create something small with low investment, but then low investment also results in likely just low returns and disappointment. So it's kind of like, oh, this work, these users working right now, but then it's like now they're building up all this cash. That is cheap, but don't get me wrong, and it doesn't seem like, it seems like they're able to, you know, maintain their fan base, right? Either by pleasing their existing fan base, or, you know, the existing fan base that gets displeased gets offset by new ones. What it seems like. Got them in the new next annual meeting. Yeah, so I like this company. I'm gonna put this, let's see, where should we put this? We need a new tier list for today. I think this is a pretty good company. Okay. Okay, let's look at the next company. I do feel like I want to buy a starter position, but then I would also watch the story and then try to figure out, like, you know, what else can we do here? Like, what about this company could, you know, yeah, this could be fun. I think things that I would need to do personally is yeah, what I don't likes. Answer this would be Tokyo Xanadu. Also feels like they could put more money into marketing too, I feel. Yeah. Or try to be creative with it and get some like game reviewers, get some like TikTokers or whatever to help hype up some games, you know what I mean? I feel like that could be fruitful. Yeah, I like that. So we're gonna add that. Nihon Falcom company. Very interesting. Wantedly. What does wantedly do? Wantedly engages in the planning, development, and operation of business, SNS, social media activities in Japan. Company offers Wantedly Visit, a company visit application, Wantedly People, an application that record customer encounters and shares achievements, engagement suite, a collection tool, Wantedly. Exactly, yeah. Viral marketing. Yeah, they should definitely get some like streamers, you know, live streamers to play their games, yada yada yada. I think that would have a really good bang for your buck because of exposure. Yeah, because you want people to play the game, right? Not just buy it and not actually play it. So seeing people that, you know, you watch live stream play play it. Be nice. Yes, Chris, I agree. Yeah, it's a classic Japan issue. They just want to just hold on to the cash just in case they have a bad stretch, and then they can utilize the cash to save themselves, right? Yeah, but that sucks in terms of shareholder value, shareholder value creation. It's cheap though. It's cheap. Another thing I'm wondering is why doesn't like Sega Sammy buy them out, right? It seems like it is they have two valuable IPs. They should be bought it out, and then you can utilize the cash. Isn't that great? Japanese LinkedIn. Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. High ROE. Very high ROE. Oh, increasing EBIT margins or operating leverage. Very nice. G&A dropping. Very nice. Wow. Oh, TS, welcome back. Welcome back, TS. Glad to have you back today. You were here yesterday, I think. Cash, a lot of cash. EV. So, most recent figure here. 5.7. That's accurate. So they have roughly 7 billion EV. Well, they are international executives, right? So probably LinkedIn is allows a more global reach, right? Because like a Ford CEO, for example, right? Or a Chinese CEO or an American CEO is not gonna be on the homegrown and alternative, correct? But probably the homegrown alternative is much more close to the cultural norms or social and cultural norms of that country. So maybe Wantely is good for that aspect. Japan people are very courteous. They still give away business cards, right? Chris said Wantely has a lot of job ads linked to from Japanese company recruit pages. Interesting. But that is a LinkedIn function, right? Because LinkedIn also has jobs on there. Price is looking kind of cheap. Let's see what the most recent quarter. Yeah, pretty cheap. Okay. Revenues have doubled since 2018. Revenue growth has slowed down a little bit. Oh, 100% gross profit margin. Purely SG. Definitely operating leverage, I can see here. Yeah, operating leverage. Good. So this is similar to yesterday where I looked at this is which company did I look at? It was M-Mart? I think it was M-Mart, right? Yeah, this is M-Mart. So M-Mart is a company where they service the food and beverage industry, and you do like wholesale competitive pricing. So like within the niche market, they operate very well, but then expanding revenue is a difficulty. In this scenario, it seems like since fiscal year 2022, they kind of hit like a flattening out. Revenue hasn't really grown much in the period. So I've gone to profitability, which is good, but then growing revenue further seems to be an issue. Fun fact, it's how I found my current job. Oh, nice. So did you exclusively use Wantedly, or did you find that Wantedly's service is better than competitors, or it's just one of the avenues you considered? Like, for example, if I was going to go find a job, right, then I would use LinkedIn, I'd use Glassdoor, I'd use like all the different websites. I'd look at the company's own website to apply as well, right? So I guess the potential competitive advantage is, are recruiters on Wantedly? Because the LinkedIn strategy is like, if you not only do you apply for a job, but you go on LinkedIn to find a recruiter, message the recruiter, get to know about the company, and that's another way in. Or you use LinkedIn to find an employee who currently works in the department you want to work in, and then you do like a coffee chat with them, right? Do people do that with Wantedly? I see. Okay, so everything preliminarily looks pretty damn good. We're gonna look at the company now. Wantedly. Connect people with the right opportunities, creating a world where work drives passion. Wantedly people. So this is like LinkedIn. Wantedly visit. Engagement suite. Work pulse story. It's called pork. Wantedly pork. Oh, perk. I thought it said Wantedly pork. That's an interesting title there. Increase the number of people who are passionate about work by placing the right people in the right positions. In Japan, this is difficult. That enemy provide a range of services, continue to create the right people in the right positions. Autonomy. Maximum social impact. Average life expectancy has exceeded 100 years. Where is this? I mean, that's a potential. That's a potential thing that could happen, yeah. I mean, if AI and robots literally replace jobs, and then Wantedly is screwed over, right? Right. If there's less and less demand for human laborers, then this company is screwed. 5 million. Okay. Scale globally. Yeah, the next question is, how do you differentiate yourself from LinkedIn, right? Like, why would someone want a second LinkedIn? Like, I personally would not create a Wantedly profile, right? Unless I was going to Japan to work, right? So like, how are you trying to, compete with the likes of LinkedIn, right? Is there like a Philippine market? Is there a Vietnam market? Is there a Thailand market where you can create a highly specialized, market-oriented LinkedIn alternative that works well? I think that's probably what the niche that they would try to find. Like, so created a Wantedly Korea, Wantedly China, Wantedly Vietnam. You know what I mean? So, because I'm sure there's cultures that are more close to Japanese culture than LinkedIn is to North America, right? So, that could be something. Oh, they have an English? They have an English version. Wow. Where's their expecting to see an English version, but I'm very happy to see it, and that's a very pleasant surprise. Yeah, look for this. Increasing revenues, increasing margins. That's good. Now, some people, for people who are familiar with LinkedIn, you guys should know that you can run ads on LinkedIn, right? So you have content creators, create professional profiles, and you can pay to increase boost impressions. Does Wantedly have some feature like that? Subscriptions. What is flow revenue? What is stock revenue here in this regard? Customer unit price. So do people pay subscriptions to use our website? Flow revenue. Add-ons and others. Add-ons and others. I wonder if those are like boosts so that you can get noticed by an employer faster, kind of type of deal, right? Or have your employer page, right? That's advertising for a role, get to the top of the page, for example, get pinned, for example. Marketing is increasing due to intensified marketing efforts, along with higher labor costs driven by the expansion of the engineering organization. Some funny English there. Oh, this is SG&A, okay. 900 million yen on advertising here. 600. So they've reduced their advertising spend actually. Personnel expense has gone up a little bit, but not too much. Operating margin excluding marketing expenses. I mean, I don't see a problem with spending money on marketing. But I guess there's a point in which you penetrate the entire market, right? And then once people are used to seeing Wantedly, let's say as a gold standard, right? Similar to LinkedIn, then you don't really have to persuade people to sign up for LinkedIn. It's like a social norm, right? So like in undergrad, right? In business school, everyone's expected to have a LinkedIn and have their LinkedIn on their resume, right? That's kind of where Wantedly wants to be, right? So let me ask you, Chris, when you had your resume, did you have a Wantedly link on there? Or did you have a LinkedIn link on there? Right? Is this a level of penetration or status that Wantedly has in Japan? I wonder if that's a thing actually. Okay, growing user count, growing registered companies. These are all good. These are all positive trends here, right? Users are increasing. And then as the user, there becomes like some type of, social norm effect, I would say, where like if you don't have a Wandly account, then what are you doing, right? Similar to if you don't have a LinkedIn account, what are you doing type of ordeal. Yeah. Okay, so continuously increase revenues and profitability, but it seems like profitability increases at a lower rate. So we're not seeing much. They're saying a 5% increase in sales, but no operating leverage. To clarify, Wandly was used for the backend application and HR side of the application, the company. My impression was it had more of a SaaS style than LinkedIn, but could be wrong. Okay. So basically what you're saying is you don't have a Wandly profile. You just applied through the site. Right, so yeah. Like could you see where it's from let's say the narrative. What is the narrative Wandly, right? Is narrative going to be one of those things where it becomes a social norm in Japan? Where like if you don't have a Wandly profile, what are you doing? Or is it just like, okay, we're currently at the stage where, okay, we know that people are using Wandly and, but it hasn't gone to that major breaking point, where people are like, yeah, I need a Wandly account, right? So, okay, so you said yep. So I think yep as in it hasn't gone to that level yet, right? It hasn't gone to that level yet. Do you see what are obstacles that they have to overcome to get to that level? Right. So what we're saying is Wandly is currently, still within the stratosphere. How does it break out from the stratosphere, and out of orbit, right? So that it, there's no gravitational pull, right? How can it get to that stage? Because if Wandly can get to the stage where it becomes a social norm, where everyone uses Wandly, then they don't need any marketing. Marketing can really just go down, right? Which is why I used to see average frequently, but not for a while. I know they do matching services. A lot of people have it. Okay. So that's a good thing. A lot of people having it is a good thing. And the number of users continues to increase. So there would be a point, essentially, we looked at over here, right? Like the OPM without marketing expense. Essentially, this operating margin will inch further and further and further up until this isn't even required, because literally everyone has an account, right? And if everyone has an account, then it's kind of like, it can get to that stage, which is very interesting. Interesting how in this plan, or just decline here. You know, another bull case scenario for the company is like in Japan, like it's really hard to kind of leave a job, right? And it's also people tend to stay at companies for longer, like 10 years plus, right? Like really long ass periods of time, right? And kind of like moving companies is frowned upon, right? I don't know if it can happen or won't happen, but like if Japan becomes more westernized in accepting transitions, career transitions, let's say, that could be really good for Wantely because now instead of, I guess in Japan is very optimized in that, let's say you put an ad up and you do find your ideal employee and that employee works at your company for 10 plus years, that's like a really good runway. Like the return on your investment in finding that employee is really high, higher than what you would find in LinkedIn. Chris says, my best assessment right now, based solely on the adverts I see around my own train, the station as I type this, is that more specialized services have popped up. Okay. Specialized services. Dota and Geekly. I've never heard of those companies. Again, this is my first time looking at Wantedly. So let me see if there's something for Geekly. As a yeah. Okay, maybe private company. Dota. Yeah. So what do you mean by, first off, thank you for the response. What do you mean by specialized services? That's the first one. And then are Dota and Geekly competitors to Wantedly? Perk in emerging hire business. Wantedly Visit. Easily arrange company visits, matching based on shared values and missions. Connect people with companies based on such shared values, regardless of conditions such as salaries, benefits, and company size. The new experience of I'm interested. Enable individuals and companies to meet in a more casual setting. Focus only one in a single segment. As an example, Geekly's recruitment for IT. I see. Okay. Okay, so Wiley is more broad-based, and then Geekly is for IT. Okay. I mean, the potential upside is that if Wantedly gets big enough, they could acquire Geekly and all these specialized firms and integrate them into their system, right? So it becomes a Wanted Geekly, Wantedly Geekly, Wantedly Geek, something like that, or Geekly Visit, Free of charge for office workers, freelancers, and students. Employer branding, applications, talent scouting, no commission, but then they charge subscription and add-ons for non-HR management. Talent scouting, recommending job posts, recommending candidates. What is this, like dating? They're the hinge of the workforce, Strength is with millennials, Generation Z, and the growing web industry. Developer, designer, sales, marketing, director, corporate. I really hate it when they use like color tones. 20 to 29 is their biggest market. Well, it makes sense because they're using more technology. They're just out of college, right? So it makes sense that they're needing to find a job. So it makes a lot more sense. Oh, 30 to 39 is also their second biggest age group, which is interesting. like mid-career transition type. Companies from various industries, primarily in small medium enterprises of 100 or fewer employees. Companies by industry. Web and mobile consulting, system integration, package software, retail distribution, marketing, architecture, staff and HR and media, others, food and restaurant. Improving marketing strategy, appropriate pricing changes, increase price, number of paid companies increase, and the price increases. Yeah. Sales strategy, increase the number of leads acquired through improved digital marketing strategies. Around 20% increase for new contracts starting January 24. We will continue to implement price revisions as appropriate. Yeah, I think the initial strategy should be to get people through the door first. Once they're used to like using your product and you're like your go-to, then yeah, increasing price. Seems like they're already doing that though. I wonder if it's premature or warranted at this current stage. Because I feel like increasing the number of paid companies is more important than price at this juncture, because they are profitable, right? Like if you look at their profitability, it's pretty damn good, you know? There's operating leverage too. Right? So I wouldn't hurry that part. I would hurry on the part of capturing market share so it gets to a point where it's like LinkedIn, where you're like the gold standard, the de facto network for hiring, you know. Increase active users by enhancing strategies to engage potential career changers. Improve scout and match rates by updating our recommendation algorithm. Engagement week, perk, pulse story, supporting the creation of self-sustaining organizations comprising 3 products. Provide support for creating an environment where employees can be passionate in their work. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Solving telecommunicating problems. Prevent decreased employee motivation due to less face-to-face communication. Solve organization issues such as increased risk of employee turnover. Yeah, I don't see the vision here, so I'm not really sure what that is. See if I can find our website. Wantedly perk. What does this even look like? Loading. Okay, while it's loading, I'm gonna go to the next page. Perk. Employee perks provide the latest services to enrich employee work environments. These kind of services that support users in their day-to-day challenges. Employee benefits that are easy to implement. For 1,000 services with special offers. Employee benefits. Okay. Okay, employee perks. I see. Companies, employees, contract, give coupon, provide service info, service provider, post service on perk. Okay. Gets a coupon from this provider. Entertainment, restaurant, healthcare, free of charge, paid plans available. Oh, free to post on perk. And they charge the company's subscription plus additional user charges. That's an interesting business model. They're saying, okay, you get this customer base. In exchange, they give me some coupons that we give to these employees. It's free for you, but you're incentivized to give some discount to our network of employees, for example. And then we get subscription revenue by offering it. Interesting. Not a bad idea. Continue to expand function and increase value provided. KPI churn rate, reduce churn rate by strengthening customer success efforts. Price aiming to increase unit price by cultivating mid-sized companies. Review marketing strategy, broaden awareness of services that to target customer segments. This is also a really interesting company. I kind of like it. I really like it. New acquisition, churn rate, ARPU. Average revenue per user. Newsletter. Company newsletter. Stories of wanted. Company newsletters that enable members to share common goals and feel a sense of team unity. Support companies in celebrating visions and values online, even when face-to-face communication is difficult. Like a social media page for them to share what they're up to. Pulse team management. Surveys that allow managers to assess employee satisfaction and make improvements to employees' experience. Celebrate team values through Slack. And visualize daily challenges and unseen contributions. Okay, save 500 yen on Toho Cinemas. And Amazon stuff. 30% off this place. I think it's karaoke, maybe? JoyFit 24. Coco Zap, okay. The gym memberships. Okay, interesting. Wantedly Hire, new product release, a modern hiring platform. Interview scheduling and app integrations. Maximize utilization of our current user and customer base. Wantedly Share, 4.2 million users. Small, medium enterprise, large enterprises, there's 37 million. Population 69. Okay, so this is the population of people that work at SMEs. Number 2. Number 1 is labor survey. Number 2 is figures excluding small scale operations from number of SMEs and offices. Small, medium-sized enterprise industry. There's 3 companies. Economic consensus activity. Okay. They have 42,000 companies. It's 4.2 million. There's less than, less than 13%. Because let's be real, if you're looking for a job at 7-Eleven, you're not gonna need a wantedly profile, right? It's only if you become like, I don't know, some type of district manager, store manager type thing, then you would want it probably. But if you're a cashier, you don't want to share that, probably. So they've tapped in around 8% of the enterprises and their target enterprise, and they've only tapped into 13% of the population that work within their target enterprise structure. 1 trillion yen. Hiring plus engagement. Elaborate on this. Average estimated use fees for hiring services times employees, number of SME and large enterprise. Average estimated use fees for hiring services. Employee number of SMEs. Okay, interesting. Use fees for the 3 products in engagement times engagement X number of. I guess the engagement is like monthly hire, monthly pulse, monthly perk. I think those are the 3 products I think it's referring to. and then they charge a usage fee. Pricing model combines subscription and pay-as-you-go plans, separating higher engagement fee plans effective April 2024. Combine subscriptions and pay-as-you-go plans. Hiring from 100,000 yen per item, mainly talent scouting, advertising, content creation, engagement per point. Subscription 60,000 to 200,000 yen. Oh, I'm just looking at this correctly. Hold on, 60,000, 6,600. So 600, 2.2k per month. Project period 6, 12, and 24 months. All unlimited job posting and contact with applicants. Okay. Engagement 27k yen. Around 2k. Contract periods of 12 and 24. Each product 350 yen per person. Purchase license in units of 10. You have to round your persons too. Okay. Sustaining student career development. Formerly called Fuel. I'll tell you, people. Stories, Pulse, and Perk. That's the engagement speak. So you're paying money for all the three. Your company. Interesting. Interesting. I actually like this company. There's a lot of potential here, actually. That is cheap. That is cheap. For what its potential could be, this is cheap. No, this is cheap. This is too cheap. Okay, this might be an S tier stock, honestly. I have to put more effort into it, but this could be an S tier stock. It generally could be an S tier stock. Yeah. This is very interesting. I like the story. I like what it could grow into. Obviously, don't have a huge tap into the growth potential is. Maybe competition is indeed so fierce that they, can't tap into more than 10%, but like they already have 10%, right? So yeah. No, this could be really good. I like it. Really good. Okay, so I've been streaming for 2.5 hours now. Today was a good day. Today we had we looked at these companies. Oh, I forgot. I'm missing one company here. 399. Oh, this is the wrong one. Okay, 399 should be over here. So we had one cheap company with not much revenue growth potential, in my opinion. But then we found Wanderly. Wanderly looks pretty damn good. I think I should do a financial analysis actually. Financials I could look at. Better translated. That would be nice. And it is bundled together. Bundled it. Okay. I will I'll just translate it real quick. But then the potential and the actual reality might be different, right? But this has S tier potential. Have no debt, which is awesome. Yeah, and if they create more platforms and stuff like that, they can definitely allocate that cash into those platforms so you don't have cash lingering on the balance sheet. Okay, let's do a more detailed calculation of the company here. Wantedly, I want you badly. Is that type of the kind of the idea? Down 2% today. 1 year. 2 years. Trading in range bound though. Hold on one sec. Trade in range bound, but then their revenue stagnant. No, they've been growing. Okay, stagnant the last 3 years, but then okay. But then their user count has gone up, right? Their user count has gone up. Maybe at a really slow pace, but yeah, so let's see here. Let's take a look roughly. So around 3.3 million. 3.6, so plus 300k, plus 10% roughly. Another plus 10%. Okay, now it's a little bit around there. Yeah, around there. 3.8, 3.9, up to like 4.1. So it's like, yeah, okay. So registered users are because I'm sure if you look at a user graph for LinkedIn, it's a completely different story. Right? It doesn't look like that. Like this looks like it's flattening, right? But they're growing though. Growing is good. Growing is good. It's just this is okay. This tells me a couple of things. It tells me that they enjoy paying taxes. As if if I think the better play for this company would be if they were to spend way more on marketing to get these into really single digits. Because like, what's the point of holding cash, right? Like, what is the point of having this cash? You might as well use it on marketing so that you can grow at a faster, more rapid rate than right now, right? Like, what you don't want is to grow slowly and be obsolete. Like, that's a horrible result. Yeah. Let's continue. Long-term advance payment. I don't think that counts. Revenue stay the same. What is our forecast? The forecast like a tiny bit of revenue growth. That's not good. That's not. This is pretty trash. Our cash flow practically inexistent. Practically inexistent. Sure, it's 26. Doesn't matter. FX. Also pretty much inexistent. Like, yeah. Sure, we can just make 20 and it doesn't matter. You know, like eat 12 times. Eat 12 times. This is cheap though. But it needs to grow. It needs to be more aggressive in this growth. Like this is different from gaming, right? Gaming is like, oh, you have to hit an IP. You don't have to hit an IP. You just need to be the go-to platform, right? And like you already established yourself as a platform. It's not like you don't have any users. 4.2 million users, right? It's like, how do you persuade people that, hey, you're like worthwhile to, you know, come on, right? 20 80 around 80 million USD market cap. Like, why hold cash? I don't understand like companies like this. Like, okay, they're on a growth rate, they're making profit, and like no, we want to reduce fucking marketing and then hold cash. Stupid as fuck. So dumb. Makes absolutely no sense. They've been going on for how long? 17. Yeah, like you gotta go. You know, really aggressive. Right? This is not aggressive enough. $67.35 and then a single digit and then 15.20. Yeah, no, you gotta be growing faster than that. Yeah, and Japan is a place where like a lot of technological advances should be incorporated, right? So you have a really good opportunity to become like the go-to portal for, you know, hiring and you know, for employees and employers to kind of connect. Like you yeah, gotta advertise. You don't like this type of stuff, but it's good though. The company is doing good. I just see if they can be more aggressive. They say something about marketing. Yeah, why decrease your marketing? Like honestly, why? It just doesn't make sense to me that you would increase it substantially, right, on an annual basis, and then you decrease it, and then doesn't make sense. Yeah, this company definitely could be acquired too. So yeah. Okay, where would I put this? It definitely has a lot of potential. I'll give it that. It has potential, but it's not aggressive enough. It has the makings and components of an S tier company. I'll give it that. Just like corporate strategy wise, I think it's using the wrong strategy. That is okay, and there's a differentiation on why Wantedly is better than that company than 3723, which is Nihon Falcom, right? Because Nihon Falcom literally has to create a new IP title, something that people will like. Whereas we already know people do like Wantedly's offerings, right? It just hasn't penetrated enough people, right? Or on the initial impression, people say we don't really need it. So you have to create that need for it. But as a business, they've already created something that works, right? So it becomes a point of how do you establish yourself as a gold standard, as a go-to platform for this type of thing? And they have 10% of the market share, right? Whereas if the story would be nicer if, when they had, 2% of the market share and they grew to 5% of the market share, right? And then you really pounce on that accelerated rate because everyone wants to be like, oh, everyone wants to get in on the newest product, right? Like for example, when Facebook, LinkedIn kind of, got on the field, right? And then, people were like, okay, if this is becoming the gold standard and this is experiencing this level of disruption, then people will be like, okay, let's get on to assist as underdog to take up, basically, completely disrupt this industry, right? But if you grow too slowly and you don't do enough marketing and you just really, not really gas pedal to the metal, and then it becomes a very drawn out story. It becomes a scenario where it's, like I don't see everyone using it. I see some people using it, right? And that's not what you want. Yeah. Definitely a candidate to put in my weekly Substack post for sure. And I'll do more research on the company, and it could generally be something where there could be some developments that really change the story completely. And I think right now would probably be could be a good place where you can get in, so that because they're so low downside, right? Because we aren't seeing the curve decline, we're seeing the curve go up. It's just the rate of the acceleration, we're just not seeing that acceleration, right? We saw a linear slope and then it actually started curving like this. If we don't want this to happen, we want this to happen, right? So yeah. So good things in 3991. So yeah, that's going to be our stream today. Thank you very much for joining me. Today is just going to be a chill one. And somehow when it's more chill, I can, find these really good companies. Or it could just be the genius of the screener that I used and the parameters that I used. But yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Khaled. Thank you, TS. Thank you, Shaman, great Shaman. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, please remember to subscribe. To me on YouTube, I only have currently 125 subscribers. This is my lowest subscription count on any platform right now. Make sure to tune in to my Substack for my written posts, my weekly written posts, and my monthly stock pitches. And also, I always post on my, like small updates. I always post them on my Twitter. So follow me on all platforms. Thank you very much for contributing to the engagement and offering your own, unique perspectives on these stocks. I've really enjoyed the discussion and your contributions. For example, Khaled offering his personal experiences with these gaming companies, and then Chris with his own local knowledge of the Tokyo, Japan environment in relation to these companies. Because if I had to have to start from scratch, I wouldn't really have this type of, knowledge because I don't live in Japan right now. All my knowledge is through observation and watching TV shows and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in, guys. I'll catch you guys next couple of days. you know, right now I'm on a roll of doing live streams. I just really enjoy doing it, so I might just continue doing it. But like, yeah, just pay attention to my Twitter. I'll post the next time that I'll